Joining us now, she's in her 23rd season at Notre Dame. Of course, fresh off the 24th straight NCAA tournament regional appearance, 30 wins last season. I speak of Deanna Gumpf back on with us here on In the Circle. Coach, how you doing?
Hi, Eric. I'm actually very, very well, and I'm very excited.
What's it like to be a coach at this time of year here? It's January or a month before the season starts. You just finished fall. You're approaching maybe that get ready for the season. What is it like as a coach?
I always talk about the calm before the storm, because I feel like right now, you're in the planning phases. People are coming back to town. You're getting the staff back together after a little break, and we're planning. So, like I said, it's calm, and preparing, and figuring out what we're going to do a little bit better this year. And then the storm hits in about a month.
When you reflect on last season and the 30 wins, what comes to mind as you reflected in the offseason about last year that jumps out?
Um, I think disappointment, really, and not just disappointment in the outcome, um, but disappointment in, um, boy, I think our culture, and I'm talking about me personally, just not. I think I took things for granted, and I thought that last year was a great learning opportunity to make sure that we get back on track and we focus on the things that are really, really important. And that's what last year did. So I guess I'm grateful for it, because it sometimes takes a little bit of a slap in the face to get back to what really matters. And I think that's what we've done a really great job of.
What, do you make adjustments personally? What do you do in the offseason to kind of address that you're talking about that it'll pay off for this upcoming season?
Well, I think it just starts with me. And I've had to figure out what's really important to me, and make sure that the things that are the most important, that not only am I living every day, but everybody around our program is living every day. And that to me is number one priority.
Obviously, and you have an expanded coaching staff like most of the sport does. Just talk about that adjustment, having now more full-time coaches, more coaches around, and certainly in your case, adding some new faces.
Well, I think it's wonderful. And I think that it is needed, because I mean, we're carrying more than 20 players on the team, and we're dealing with 10 positions, not including, the pitching staff, which is, much larger than it used to be. So I think when you add people to the roster and you're adding depth to the field, in every position, you need the hands to help that depth. And with that staff, it's awesome. But we also have to work really hard to make sure we're all on the same page, because there's more people to get on the same page with. And I think without that, I think you see things going in a direction, and not so much in a bad direction, but maybe just not all going in the same direction.
Oh, it's a great point, and building that chemistry, which in coaching staffs we always talk about players and the coaching staff and chemistry, but there's also that adjustment from a staff standpoint. So, how does the staff kind of fit? Who do you delegate certain coaches to do certain things? Do you balance it out the responsibilities? How does describe how the staff works?
Yeah, I'm a big delegator. I've done this for too long to have control over everything. That would be silly. Yeah, I'm a big delegator. Chris is in charge of the infield and catchers. Riv is all about hitting and outfield. Jamie helps me with the pitchers. So, and then I'm trying to take a little bit of a step back and try to manage everything, and lead.
Let's talk about this year's team. Obviously, Karina Gaskins, as people know about, 348, 15 homers, 46 RBIs. First team. Let's start with her. Because it's easy sometimes to take for granted what she does, because she just produces every time, it seems like. What makes her such a great player? And really one of the faces of the program.
Oh, for sure. I would 100% say she's one of the main faces of our program, and she has and she deserves it. She's there because she works really, really hard. She will be the one that's always in the cages early. She'll go and do individual work, she'll do group work, and then she comes to practice. So she doesn't take many days off, and she expects a lot from herself. And I think that those expectations and the hard work that she's putting in with those expectations is the reason why she's been so productive.
What's your goals as time, after softball? Because that's the uniqueness of all the players you have at Notre Dame is you have softball, but there's also the academic side, and they have plans life after softball. So I'm
Mhm.
always fascinated with players like Gaskin, who to me looks like somebody who could play as long as she wants if she wants professionally somewhere. But what is her aspirations?
Yeah, she could definitely keep playing if she chooses to. And, I don't think she's made that decision. I know she is planning grad school. I think that's something that's very attractive to her. And I think she does want to stay in the game. I think that, I know she is focused on applying at Notre Dame. And I think she just wants to kind of see where her opportunities take her. She's had a couple internships in the summertime. I know they've offered her a position. But I think she just really wants to keep kind of a foot in the game because she loves it. I mean, she loves the game and she plays like she loves it. So it's awesome.
Harley Kloss. I think when you I think of some of the best catchers in the country, I think Kloss's name has to be brought up. The rain won the ACC Defensive Player of the Year, which I believe is she's the first Notre Dame player to accomplish that, which kind of blew my mind away. But she also can do it offensively, hit 341. How is
Mhm.
she able to do that where she's what she brings to the table as a catcher, but also produces offensively, which, as you know, as a catcher, that's not easy to do to be as productive from both sides as she is.
No, I think it's her toughest challenge that she continues to navigate every year, and I think every year she's gotten better and better at it. She's got to protect her legs, and when you're catching, 56 games a year, it's not easy to protect your legs. So she works really hard in the weight room. That's where it starts for her. She she is as strong as she possibly can be and tries to maintain that throughout the year. Again, not easy, so she's got to do some stuff on her own. But her focus is to make sure that that lower half stays really strong, because her legs get so darn tired. I mean, she's such a great catcher; it's hard to take her out. I mean, she's so good behind the plate.
How, as a coach, do you kind of balance that where, on the one hand, it's like, man, I got one of the best catchers in the country. I need her there. But at the
Mhm.
same time, you want to keep her healthy. You want to keep her fresh, not just physically, but mentally. Because sometimes, you take a beating as a catcher. There's a reason why they wear all that gear. So how do
Yeah,
you balance all that and making those determinations?
I don't do a great job of it.
That's great. Just look the other way. Yeah, no, you're playing. You're good. You're okay. You're good.
I'm telling you, I don't do a great job of it because she's the kind of player you want in the game all the
Yeah.
time. Because she brings the physical, she brings the attitude, she brings the grit, she brings the doing what it takes mentality and everything she does. So it's really, really hard to give her a break. So when you have a player like that, it's really hard to take them out.
Plus, obviously, she handles all the pitchers and needs
Mhm.
to know what they have. And let's talk about that. Talk about your pitching staff this season. You have Shannon Becker leading the way coming back. You've got a new face that I'm intrigued by. But just talk about, or at least some of them, but just talk about your pitching staff as a whole.
Yeah, we have 5 pitchers, most I've ever had. And I guess I'm getting on the pitching bandwagon of, figuring out how to manage innings instead of, just going with 2 horses. My hope is that we don't do that. If things are going well for Notre Dame, we're relying on much more than 2 people, or many more than 2 people. So I guess TBD, because I've been very comfortable doing that in the past, and I'm really trying to get away from that this year because we have really talented pitchers.
Well, you've got a talented kid in Alexis, who I'm just intrigued by a transfer from Princeton. So you've got a student athlete that's transferring from Princeton to Notre Dame, which clearly she's set for life. That is an impressive degrees to have. So I just got to start with that. Just tell me what she brings to the table offensively. What is she like? 'Cause I'm intrigued. I've never, man, I'm very envious to have somebody that could. And I believe, as I understand this, did she finish Princeton like in less than 4 years, or at least
No,
close?
she finished in 4.
Right at 4. Okay,
Um,
but she
yeah,
was on schedule. Okay, thank you. All right.
yeah, but they lost 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So she's got 2 with us, and she's getting her engineering, her master's in engineering. So yeah, she's brilliant. She's very insightful. She's very mature. She's just a wonderful person to have around. Super talented, understands herself. The maturity level, like I said, is off the charts. I could talk softball with her all day long. She's so fun to talk about with the game because she's always thinking about it. And it's just it's pretty cool to have her come in and be so new to us and being a little bit green, but still being so prepared and so ready for what she has coming at her this season.
Talk about the other arms and what, how,
Mhm.
am I assuming you have some variety, some different pitchers that can do some different things to kind of bring to the staff?
Oh yeah, I mean Castor, Michaela Castor is someone that you're gonna see and you're gonna hear about. She was so strong at the end of the season last year. And I feel like I kind of protected her a little bit early because she was a freshman. But she didn't give me a reason to protect her later. And she really started throwing a lot of innings for us late. And I'm super excited about her. She throws hard. Uh, she works both sides of the or all quadrants of the zone. Has great off speed. She's fun. Like she's a kind of in your face pitcher who just gets after it. And she wants the ball all the time, which is awesome. And she's a horse. I mean, she's really fun to watch play the game.
Offensively, obviously, we've talked about Gaskins leading the way, Kloss, but talk about some of the other players offensively that has stood out to this where and you expect to contribute, as well as defensively.
Yeah, well, I think at the top of that list would be Jane Cronenberger, who had a really awesome freshman year. Tried to navigate a little bit sophomore year, but I think she's in a really good place. Definitely become a leader on the field. Has a great, powerful bat. Runs really well, so she's very athletic and brings a strong bat. Mickey Winchell, who played outfield for us, will play outfield again. Brings more speed. She's uh, triple threat, kind of like Carly. I put her in the same category as Kloss. Just makes things happen offensively and defensively. She's just fun to watch in on both sides of the game. And I guess at the middle infield, I'm super excited because I'm not quite sure who will be there yet, but I love all of my options, and that's Addie Amaral, who's a freshman, and Anna Holloway, who's a junior. And we have Mac Vasquez, who is a senior. So I see those 3 really doing some damage in the middle infield. Um, and one hits from the left side, 2 hit from the right side, brings a lot of energy and power, all 3 of them. So I like that too.
Sounds like you like the versatility you have on the roster. Is that accurate?
Yeah, we have power, but we have more speed, which I like the balance of that.
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. You're going to open the season in Clearwater,
Mhm.
in the NFCA. Hopefully, the weather's a little warmer than it is currently here. It's right in the 40s degrees, although nobody's going to feel sorry for us Floridians.
Yeah.
And then you go to Jacksonville. So that's why I bring it up. You're in Jacksonville week 2. Then you go to Mary Nutter in week 3. Just talk about your overall schedule, non-conference there, which is not nothing new. Tough, challenging schedule, lots of travel. Just talk about the this year's version of the schedule.
Oh gosh, I love our schedule. I love to put together a I think it's a tough schedule. I think if you look at our schedule, you think, but it's a pretty tough schedule. But I also think it's balanced. I think it gives us a really good avenue to make some noise, and that's our plan. We want to make a lot of noise in the spring early, We want to beat really good teams early, and I think that schedule helps us do that.
Obviously, there's a lot going on in college athletics, lots of movement and realignment, which you have plenty of experience with, both from your program when you made the change, go from the Big East to the ACC. You've seen new teams come into the ACC. I'm curious from a scheduling standpoint, future non-conference scheduling, how much does that affect you? How much is it more challenging because of the uncertainty and the movement? What how does that affect your future scheduling?
I don't think it will change much. I think adding the Stanford Cal is an interesting dynamic because it sends us west. I think that will really determine, depending on when we play out west with those two opponents, will determine how often we go west from there. Because I like to stay in our time zone because it's just easier on the athletes. With the amount of games that we play, it's tough to change time zones often. So to me, the most important thing is get west, let our West Coast families see our girls play, and then play great competition. So I don't think it'll change much. I think it's really going to determine geographic locations, not so
Yeah.
much competition.
There's obviously a lot of programs changing conferences. If a coach reached out to you for advice and says, "Coach, what advice would you give me as I'm taking my program from one conference to another? What advice would you give him as somebody who's been through it?"
Hmm. Well, number one, be excited because I think this is a really exciting time in college athletics, and I think we, because of all the changes, I think we're very uncomfortable with that at times. But you can't forget about how cool and exciting it is to be a college athlete right now with so many changes and going with these power conferences and these huge conferences. So I think it's really exciting. And just go in eyes wide open and attack the game you would, no different than what you've been doing. We're so lucky in softball because we play so many opponents that it's just another opponent. And you can make it bigger or you can make it what it is. And I think just make it what it is. It's just another opponent.
No, that's a great perspective. That's a great point. I never thought of it that for that perspective because you play usually a 50 plus game schedule. You're playing all these different teams. You're used to the travel.
Mhm.
So it's just really a little extra one team or two. Certainly the mileage could be a little different, but as you mentioned even earlier, you can adjust to that
Mhm.
once everything kind of is settled.
Yeah. So I just think the game is the game. And, you have to play good softball to win. So it's just
It's
really, it doesn't change.
couple last things. Obviously, the off season, some of the rule changes, the pitch clock, 20-second pitch clock. They've modified again the illegal pitches. There's some more stuff to instant replay. What stood out to you about the off season? Some of the rule changes that stood out. Do you like some of the moves they did?
I think they're all productive moves. And I know we keep trying to quicken the game to make us fit in our 2 hour window. And my biggest thing is I want to make sure that we never hurt the game by doing that. So we as coaches, I think, can help that a lot and be mindful of how and when we're calling timeouts and how we're using. I just think as coaches, we can really help that because the reality is we want to be on TV as much as possible. We're gonna have commercial breaks. It's part of the deal. So we have to make sure that we're coaching efficiently and productively as possible to make sure that we try to fit in that 2 hour window, but having a great game. So I think we can help that without really trying to change too many rules. I like the 20-second clock as long as it's in the pitcher's face. I think that's so important. The 20-second clock is awesome. It keeps things rolling. And I think it's easy to do as long as the pitcher always knows exactly the time that when it started.
No, that's a great point because the where the clock is on the field is kind of interesting because if you can't see it, it's a little trickier on
Right.
that. That's a great point to bring up, and also other coaches have told me they like the pitch clock, but let's also hold the batters accountable and making sure they can speed up the game too and not pick on just the pitchers.
Yeah. And I think they're doing that. I mean, as long as the pitch clock is in center field and behind home plate, I think we're managing the game really, really well.
No, that's great. That's good to hear about that. Last thing to go is before you know it, the season will be here. You'll be in Florida. Uh, what are a couple keys? What are a couple questions you're going to have when you play somebody else that you're looking forward to finding out about your team this year that could be determining how the season goes?
Pitching and defense for us. We're going to hit the ball. Like Notre Dame will hit the ball. We'll find ways to score runs. For us, I want people talking about how awesome our defense and our pitching is. To me, those two things obviously go hand in hand. They work together. But if we can figure out how to play great defense behind our pitching staff, that's the game changer for Notre Dame.
I can hear in your voice you still enjoy this. Like, is this still as fun? I get a sense you still have the passion and the excitement, the goosebumps of a season than you did, say, when you maybe 10, 20 years ago. Is that accurate?
It's definitely accurate. It's definitely changed over the years. Oh yeah, I mean the anxiety, the craziness, it just gets my motor running big time. I love it. I love the feeling of the beginning of the season. But hopefully I'm just a little smarter and a little more level at it.
I think you do usually a pretty good job of that. How are you think you're a different coach today than you were, say, 10 years ago, 15 years ago?
Oh, I think I'm a totally different coach. And I think I used to be a lot, I would say, spicier maybe. I think I am I think I am more calm. I think I enjoy the good stuff a little bit more now. And I'm glad I can do that because I think it was always about like go, 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 go. And I still get like that. I still fight myself sometimes, but um I sure it's fun to have fun. And when we're having fun in the game, there's just nothing better.
So in other words, you kind of maybe appreciate it more because when you're younger, you're trying to establish yourself. You're thinking about what's next, the next process, and you kind of maybe take some things for granted that you don't now. That you're like, man, this is kind of fun. Let me take a moment here to kind of enjoy what we're doing because this is fall fun.
Oh, totally. And honestly, 20 years ago, there's no way I thought I would be sitting at Notre Dame talking to you about this team. And to just take a minute and think, wow, like this is an awesome ride. And actually just getting on and enjoying that a little bit is so important. And again, like it's perspective for sure. But man, I think I really do enjoy it. I enjoy the ride a lot more now.
Do you even imagine what you would be doing if you weren't coaching softball?
I have no idea.
Right? Like it feels like you just wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah,
I,
I have no idea. And I hope I don't need to figure that out soon.
I don't think so either, Coach. I think you're good. I think you're good. And I always enjoy having you on. So you better, yeah, just keep coaching so I can keep
Thanks,
having
Eric.
you on. That's the. Otherwise, I don't know what I'll do.
Well, I
But
enjoy really talking to you too. So thank you.
all right, Coach. Well, we'll let you go, but always appreciate you coming on. Always enjoy having you and talking to you and giving us your perspective on the game and obviously on your program. Good luck this year,
Thank you.
and hopefully we'll cross paths.
I'm looking forward to it. Thanks.